Okay, everybody, let's get started. First of all, I'd like to say welcome back to everybody for our third and final in our series of webinars called Talk at Home. You'll see that part 3 is called Help Me Talk. So for today's webinar, it's going to be myself and my colleague Rebecca who will be presenting for you. Just a reminder, we are both certified auditory verbal therapists. I have a background as a teacher of the deaf, and Rebecca's background as a speech and language therapist. Okay, so what will we talk about today? We're going to do a little bit of revision of what we've talked about so far. And today we'll be focusing on strategies that will really help your child get started talking, or if they're already talking, expand what they can say. And as usual, we'll be having our 4 strategies and our usual free resource. But as a special bonus for our last webinar in the series, there'll be an additional bonus strategy and resource for you. Okay, so let's do a little bit of thinking about what we've talked about so far. For those of you who've joined us before, this picture will be familiar. Remember in our first webinar, we talked a lot about hearing. We talked about the importance of getting very good hearing, the best hearing technology that is available for your child. In that way, they will be able to access the sounds of speech. That's the very first and most important step. And as we've said to you each time, if you have any concerns about this at all, whether or not your child has technology, if you have any concerns, do be in touch with us. And as always, we will give you those email addresses at the end of the webinar. Then we've talked about listening. In our second webinar, when we had Dr. Anisha Preto as our guest presenter, she talked to us a lot about the importance of getting that listening attention. Do you remember she said that if a child is not getting a good signal to listen to, then the parts of the brain that are designed to manage hearing can get taken over by the senses of touch and sight. And so she told us about the importance of really focusing on listening skills, that was the key to help your child learn to talk. And in today's webinar, we're going to be focusing mostly on the talking aspects. So with hearing and listening, working on all the time, today we're going to focus some more on how we can encourage your child to talk, and if they're already talking, to talk more. So here are our first 4 strategies for today. These are our key strategies we're going to talk about in today's webinar. So let's get started with our first strategy. Our first strategy is wait, wait, wait. What might that mean? What we're really thinking when we're talking about waiting. Well, we've talked to you a lot during this webinar about the importance of talking to your child a lot. I hope you remember in the first webinar that Rebecca explained to you that our aim is to get 30 million words to your child's brain by the time they're 5 years of age, by the time that they go off to school. And so we hope that now you're out there chatting to your child a lot. Today, we want to remind you that as well as talking, you're going to stop and wait sometimes. We want to make sure that one person is talking at a time. In this picture, you can see that 2 people are talking at the same time. And so things get muddled in the middle. There are 2 people talking at the same time. seems we have a bit of a technical problem.
Donna, would you like me to try and share my PowerPoint and go to your slide? Or?
So you're telling me that you can't see the PowerPoint at the moment?
No.
Okay. Just a minute.
Okay.
Thanks for that, Rebecca. Is that better?
Yes, yes.
Thanks for that. Okay, so let's have a look at this picture again. In this picture, you can see that there are two people and they're talking at the same time. So what's happening is that these words are getting muddled and muddy and hard for a child to hear. We really, really want to make sure that for your child to be able to hear, there is nice, clear speech coming from one person at a time. Remember that sometimes we want to leave some silence. This is when we wait. Silence is a good thing for a child with hearing loss. It helps them to see that it's their turn to their turn to talk. One person's talking, the next person's talking, then some silence that says to the child, okay, it's your turn to talk now. Okay, let's have a look at what that might look like. So today, I don't have a little doll like Rebecca does, but I've brought along my grandson's favourite toy to show you. I have a little 18-month-old grandson, and he really likes this big toy rabbit. So today I want you to pretend that this rabbit is a child, okay? This big rabbit is pretending to be your child today. So I'm going to show you, as I read a little story, how I'm going to use this waiting strategy to encourage the child to talk. You might see some of the other strategies we've talked about as well. So this is my little book. It's just an ordinary little book about a bus. Okay. Oh, wow. I can see a bus in here. Here's the bus, the bus. Yeah, there he is, the bus. Oh, wow, look. There's the driver getting ready to go. She's getting ready to go on her bus today. Oh, she's going up, 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 and wash, 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 wash. So I'm giving some quiet time to allow the child to have a turn and to talk to me. Perhaps you saw some of the other strategies in there, such as listening first. I talked about the bus before he saw the bus. And I used acoustic highlighting, the type of speech that Dr. Preto talked to us about, with lots of ups and downs and interesting acoustic features. Then I made sure that I stopped and paused to give him a chance to have his turn and to comment on the book. So there we are. We were one person talking at a time. Then I left some silence, and I can add a kind of expectant look that says, I'm waiting for you to say something. See what that looks like? It's saying, come on, it's your turn to say something now. Sometimes you'll notice that even little animals use expectant looks. Here's a lovely little puppy, and he's teaching us that he's waiting for something. So do remember these expectant looks. It really helps your child to raise the expectation that they will have a turn. And I do want you to especially remember one person talking at a time. Remember that if there are a lot of people talking, the sound that comes out is very muddy and murky and will be hard for your child to learn. So one person at a time. Okay, let's move on to our next strategy now. Our next strategy is called auditory closure. And this is one of my favorite strategies for really getting children started. Okay, so I'm going to play a little game with Rebecca. We're going to show you what auditory closure looks like. You ready, Rebecca?
I am.
Okay. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rebecca. Happy birthday to you. Yay! Good job. So I hope there you can see what we did. I start singing, then I wait at the end, and it's the child's chance to come in with the next piece. Here's another example with the rabbit. Remember, we're pretending that this rabbit is a child today. Okay, this is one of my favorite songs. My little grandson absolutely loves this song. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Rock, rock, rock the boat, rapids in the stream. If you see the crocodile, snap, 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 don't forget to scream. Ah! This is a lovely little song because at the end, when you stop, all you have to do is scream, ah! And children really enjoy it. They don't have to have a lot of speech to join in, and I think you'll find it's a really fun thing to do. Let's look at another example of auditory closure with a little phrase. So I've got a little toy here. And a little card to hold at the top. And we're going to say 1, 2, 3, go! And again. 1, 2, 3, go! Now, when we've done this several times, we're going to wait and see if the child might join in. 1, 2, 3, go! This is another example of using auditory closure to give your child the expectation that it's their turn to talk. Now, if your child has a little bit more language than that, you could use some longer phrases. It might be 1, hold on, 2, get ready, 3, here we go. So you can see that we can use the same strategy, but with some more advanced language. Okay. Here's a quick summary of what auditory closure looks like. Do remember that in order to use this strategy, your first job is to teach the song or the rhyme or the phrase many, many times. So don't expect your child to come in with their part of their piece. Don't expect them to do that until they have heard it many, many, many times. So your first job in working towards auditory closure is to pick a song or a phrase, whatever it might be, and teach it and teach it and teach it many, many times. Then when you think your child knows it and enjoys it, then you can try by leaving some wait space for the child to join in. If the child's not sure what to do, you could show them with someone else. So hold up your car, 1, 2, 3, And then perhaps your husband or wife or another child comes in with the second part. And that will show your child what we're expecting them to do. So remember, we sing or say the first part, and then we wait to see if the child will join in. Auditory closure is a really super strategy. It really, it teaches the child many things. It teaches them to listen to that phrase or song really well so that they know when it's their turn. And it also teaches them that in conversation we take turns. I say something, you say something. I say something, you say something. So we really like auditory closure for many reasons. Okay, so now I'm going to hand over to Rebecca, and she will talk you through our next two strategies for today. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks, Donna. Hello again to everyone joining us in Malaysia, Singapore and Indonesia. I'm going to jump straight in and share my screen with you. So today I'm going to be talking about our final two official strategies, use choices and expansion and extension. I'm saying official strategies because, as Donna said, get excited because we've got a bonus strategy and bonus resource for you today. But look, let's go back to talking about use choices first. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about use choices because remember back in our first series of the webinar, I made a bit of a fuss about asking questions. I said that asking a lot of questions, particularly in those early years of listening, questions like, what's that? How many is this? What color is this? It's not helpful for your child because it tests them at a time when your child needs to be their teacher. But this strategy we're talking about now, use choices, is actually a type of question that provides your child with a choice and it encourages them to communicate using words. So this type of question is effective once your child has begun to use words, or you could even use it when your child is just beginning to copy those first sounds or play sounds that we talked about last week. So here we have an example of a choice question. Do you want an orange or an apple? And maybe at this point your child might repeat back a word that sounds a little bit like apple, maybe something like app. It doesn't have to be perfect. We call these not quite perfect words word approximations. And it's a really great start for a beginning listener and talker. One strategy that you can combine with this strategy use choices is acoustic highlighting. So remember last week when we talked about acoustic highlighting, I mentioned a number of different techniques. And one of those techniques was put the important word at the end of the phrase or the sentence, because we know that children find it easier to attend to that last piece of information that they hear. So for a beginning listener, you're going to put, maybe you get a sense of which one they want. You know your child really loves apples. So you're going to put that one second to make it easier for your child to listen and repeat that word. Maybe if your child is a little bit more advanced in their listening, you'll want to challenge them and you'll put the one you think they want at the beginning of the choice. So how are you going to use this strategy? Well, to start with, you're going to show your child two things and ask, do you want an orange or an apple? And maybe your child straight up says apple. Well, you give it to them immediately. But maybe your child just shows a preference. They're looking at the apple or they're pointing at the apple. What do you do then? Well, you're going to provide the language. Oh, you want the apple and wait. Maybe then your child will give you the word or a word approximation and you give the apple immediately. But If they don't, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to go back up and provide the language again. Oh, you want the apple? And you're going to wait and wait again. Maybe that's when you hear the word apple. But if you don't, there's your cue to give the language. Here's your apple and the apple. So using choice is a great strategy to encourage your child to communicate using words without the pressure that comes with that kind of test type question, because they get to hear the vocabulary just before they try and say it. The other great thing about using choice questions is that it allows your child to make a decision. And when they do that, they quickly understand the power that they have in using their voice to get what they want. So you could try using choice questions with children who are just beginning to copy some play sounds. Remember, at this stage, it can be beneficial to contrast sounds that have differing duration, intensity, and pitch. We talked about this in week 1. Length of sound, loudness of sound, and the frequencies of the sound. So what might that look like? Oh, do you want to play with the ball that goes bounce, bounce, bounce? Or the snake? Now you can use that same technique if your child is up to the stage of repeating single words. You might want to keep that idea in mind of providing contrasting words so that if your child's speech is not perfect, you can still guess which one they are saying. So that might sound something like this. Do you want the bouncy ball or the snake? Maybe your child is up to combining words or just about to start combining words. So you can use choice questions to show them how to do that. So that might sound like this. Shall we read the insect book or the animal book? So here I've put the word combinations on both sides of the choice. And if your child is up to combining words into a phrase or a short sentence, maybe your choice question sounds something like, do you want to bake a cake with grandma or play at the park? I can see there's something in chat down there. Should we have a look at that, Donna?
I've answered what I can see.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I'll check though, you carry on.
I'm going to get everyone to type into the chat now, because what I'd like you to do now is to think about your child's language level, and in the chat type for me a choice question that you would use to try and extend or stretch their language out. So if your child is just using one word, maybe you're going to encourage them to combine 2 words by typing in a choice question that's got those word combinations on each side of the choice. Or if your child is at the stage of making a short sentence, then you're going to create a choice question that has a sentence on each side of the choice. So I'm trying desperately to see where the chat will be, but I can't find it. Can you read?
I'm watching, Rebecca, I am.
Oh, good. What have we got?
So someone has said to me that they would use something like, perhaps if the child's getting dressed, do you want your red shirt or your blue shirt?
And that's a great example of using a word combination on both sides of the choice. Do you want the big car or the small car? Great ideas. What if the child reaches out for both options without voicing her choice? Okay, let's answer that one. So if you think about the diagram, we can even go back to it, I suppose. This one here. If your child is reaching out for both, maybe you can get a sense of which one they want and just put that a little bit to the front. And then you could provide the language again in a choice and put that one at the front second in your choice so that it's easy to hear, easy to repeat, and then try. And maybe you can do that same thinking place language modeling. Oh, I think you want the blue shirt and you look lovely in the blue shirt. The thing about these choice questions is it's like any of our strategies, you just keep trying it until it works. Donna, do you have any other comments there?
Some great ideas here, Rebecca. So someone has mentioned, for example, do you want to put it in the house or put it on the table? That's a really great idea for helping a child learn a preposition, a position word.
Yes,
lots of fabulous ideas here.
Yes, and I like this one, warm or cold milk, because that's a great way to teach new vocabulary as well. Terrific. Thank you.
Yeah, I really like that there are a lot of strategies in here, that a lot of ideas that people are going to use in everyday life. I really like that you've chosen things that are going to happen as you go about your daily, just as you go about your day. Because we do need to think that we want to use these strategies in everyday life. They're not just for when we sit down at a high chair with our child, they're for using all the time. So I really like people's choices today. They're choices of choices.
Choices of choices, terrific. All right, let's move on and have a look inside your free resource. So the PDF you can print and you'll have your own hard copy book called My House. And this book walks you through rooms of a house and objects you will find inside a house and their function. There's lots of opportunity for vocabulary development. In particular, there's a great chance to focus on verbs. So verbs or action words are sometimes a bit slower to develop in children who use hearing technology. Why is that? Well, it's kind of us, really. We find it easy to point and label things. Here's the house. Oh, there's a bear. We find it easy to talk about colours of things. Oh, the roof is pink, the bear is brown. We like to count things. Let's count the stairs, 1, 2. And sometimes verbs get forgotten. So please use this resource and focus on your opportunity to explore this important group of words. For example, look at him, he's cuddling his bear. As with the last 2 weeks, you'll also receive the slide deck. So let's have a look in that slide deck together now. And what we might do is think about how you can use your choice questions with this resource. So my house. My house has a big front door for knocking on. My house has a long, narrow hall. All right, your turn to type in chat. My house has a long, narrow hall for hanging pictures in or for running through. What do you think?
Running through. Oh, everybody's picking running through.
Maybe people have read the book. Right, for running through. Or maybe that's the cheeky answer that all of our children will choose. Okay, now for this one, what I want you to do is you're going to design the choice for me to pick. My house has a kitchen filled with shiny things for, all right, give me a choice. Type in chat, everyone. What can I choose from? My house has a kitchen filled with shiny things for, oh, Donna, you might have to give me, oh, here we go, for baking or cooking. Oh, good answer, Isabel. Thank you very much. I love it. For cooking with. Great job. Thank you for that. Okay, let's pop out of that slide deck. And let's have a look at our final official strategy, expansion and extension. And this strategy is a really great one to use with this resource, the slide deck, My House, or the book. let's have a look what these terms mean. So expansion and extension are the strategies that we use when we want to show children how to improve on what they have just said. An example here, if you hear your child saying dog, using this strategy, you would reply, the dog's running. Let me give you a definition of these terms. So expansion is what we are doing when we model more grammatically complete or full utterances or correct a speech sound. Let me give you a way to remember that. If we think about the word expand, well, I think about my stomach. After I've had a big meal, my tummy expands and I feel full and complete. So in this example, if I hear your child say dog run, then you might offer an expansion, the dog's running, so that you've created a grammatically correct sentence. We wouldn't want to reply with a sentence that was not grammatically correct. For example, dog running. We want to add all the grammatical elements, but if you think that's too much for your child to try and repeat back, then you might highlight particular elements of the expansion, like this example, the dog's running. What about extension? So extension is the process of modeling how to add another idea to what your child says so that they can hear a more complex sentence. Let me give you a way to remember that. When I extend my arm, I make it longer and I can reach up to higher things, in this case, more complex language. So here in this example, if you hear your child say dog, an extension might be, oh yes, the dog is running. So adding another idea. But really don't worry too much about the definitions of these two terms. The idea is think about expansion and extension together. And when you're in conversation with your child, really focus on what they say, listen, and then repeat back what they say with a new idea, make it fuller and more complete. So using expansion and extension is a really nice way to fix those mistakes that all children make and in their early stages of learning to use spoken language. And it also shows your child an easy pathway to using more advanced language. So how about I'll do a couple of examples of expansion and extension and then you can have a try in chat. So if you hear your child say, there's a pish, your expansion might be using acoustic highlighting to focus on the, I see it, I see the fish. And in this example, I got dog, you might add a new idea and also a grammatical correction. Oh yes, you've got two dogs. So here's your turn. Now I'm hoping you can see the speech bubble on the side that says mama. You're in the kitchen, cooking at the stove, and you hear your child say, mama, mama. What's your idea for expansion or extension? So we're going to have the word mama and something. Yes, mama is cooking a fish. Mama is here. Great ideas. That's terrific. Mama is cooking. Great examples. Mama's in the kitchen. Oh, everyone's got the hang of this one. Terrific. What I like about your responses is that you're really showing that idea of talk more. Mama's in the toilet. That's a great one. Thank you for that. That's a good laugh for us all. Oh, great. All right, let me give you one more example here. Okay, so here we've got bear book. Now, this is a tricky one to do expansion and extension on. Let's try. How are you going to use expansion and extension to show your child more advanced level of language in Bear book? Bear is reading a book. Great. Big Bear is in the book. Yes, this is a bear's book. Wonderful examples. Oh, yes, look, it is a bear. Big Bear is here. Fabulous examples, everyone. Thank you so much.
Rebecca, I really like those examples because I'm seeing lots of use of verbs.
Yes,
so you said, you said to us that verbs were really important, and I think everybody's listening. I see lots of verbs being added into those comments. It's great.
Yeah, terrific. And the other thing I liked about it was there was no questions, really. It was expansion and extension and language modeling, and using that idea of talking more, self-talk and parallel talk that we mentioned in our first series. So that brings us to the end of our 4 official strategies. So I'm going to stop sharing. So Donna, hand over to you. But everyone, I will see you again before we finish today.
Thanks, Rebecca. So we've quickly talked to you about those 4 strategies. But as Rebecca said, we've got a bonus strategy for you today. And the reason that we added this in is that Rebecca and I had a talk and we said, what have we taught people? Have we talked about what's most important? What are the things that might be missing? And the thing that we felt was really missing was music. Music and rhyme. So important. And as I've mentioned to you today, I have a little grandson, and I said to Rebecca, gosh, since I've had him, he's 18 months old now, he has normal hearing. It's really reminded me of how much fun music and rhyme are for children and how much children learn from that. It really captures their attention. So we really want to encourage you to be using music in all its forms. That means singing. Sing anytime you want to during the day. In our experience in Malaysia, I have found that people love music. I think that's the same for Singapore and also for Indonesia. There's a lot of music goes on in your cultures. So sing. Think about instrumental music as well. If anybody in your home can play an instrument, play it for the child. That would be great. Go along and listen to music when you can. Perhaps occasionally watch a little YouTube video of a song. This is a really fun way to help your child. Music is like speech, except that it has an extra listening part to it. If you think about it, music is really all about listening. And we've talked to you so much about how listening helps your child to learn to talk. Rhymes are fabulous too. They have lots of rhythm, lots of ups and downs, and often lots of repetition. The chance for children to hear phrases and words over and over again in songs is so much fun and so good for their learning. There's quite a lot of research that shows that when a child or when a person is engaged with music, almost every part of their brain lights up. But certainly that auditory cortex, do you remember on the first webinar, I talked to you about that little auditory cortex part of the brain? We know that when music is happening, that auditory cortex is really excited and really getting stronger and developing itself. Now, I thought I'd talk about some of the common questions that people ask us about using music and rhyme with children with hearing loss. So some frequently asked questions about music and rhyme. Sometimes people say, well, what will I sing? You know, just sing anything. Don't worry too much. If you enjoy pop music, the latest K-pop or whatever it might be, sing that for your child and dance together. If you like traditional music, sing traditional music. Don't worry about what you're going to sing. Just sing a lot. People sometimes ask, but I'm not a very good singer. What if I can't sing very well? Well, I can't sing very well either. You probably noticed when we did our songs earlier. And it doesn't matter at all. Don't worry that you're not quite at the right pitch or that you're not doing it quite right. It doesn't matter. Some scientists actually researched this. They looked to see if it was important if the song was on the right pitch, if that meant that the brain developed better, and it didn't matter. So long as there is singing there, that brain will really get stronger, particularly in listening. Which songs or rhymes might I choose? Well, we're going to think a little bit about the types of songs and rhymes that match up with your child's level of development. So if, for example, your child is an early learner, if their hearing technology is quite new, then we want lots of great simple songs with a lot of repetition. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he had a pig, E-I-E-I-O. Children will love hearing that E-I-E-I-O lots and lots of times. Think about the songs and rhymes that are important to you in your family and in your culture. Are there songs that people sung to you when you were young that you really enjoyed? Sometimes grandparents can be really great sources of songs. They'll remember sometimes old nursery rhymes, little rhymes that they heard a lot when they were children. Ask them to sing them and to say them a lot for your child. Rhymes that have movement with them are great, and songs that have movement with them too. And Wincy Spider went up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed poor Incy out. Children will love trying to match those little fingers, match those movements with you. And you might see in time that when you sing to your child, they might start the movements and then you'll know that they really understand that song. Twinkle, Twinkle's a great one. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Children love to be able to pick up their hands and join in. So do remember that rhymes and songs that include movement are great. Another common question, can a child with a cochlear implant learn to play a musical instrument? The answer to that is yes. Not only can they, but it's very, very good for them to do so. So if you're able to, think about joining your child up to learn a musical instrument. Attending a dance class is a wonderful thing to do also. So think about joining into those classes. They don't need to be special classes for children with hearing loss. Any class that includes music, movement, or if you want your child to learn a musical instrument, it's a very, very good thing to do. Again, this is all about developing that listening brain. Learning to play an instrument is learning to listen carefully. Sometimes people have asked, what's the best instrument to learn? Well, first of all, think about what your child is interested in. So if your child shows a particular interest in a musical instrument, let them go for it. For example, some children really seem to enjoy banging away on drums. They might enjoy going to a drumming class. If your child seems to be really interested in that person who's playing a flute, then do join them up to learn the flute. If they don't have a particular interest, then we often recommend the piano. With the piano, you just need to learn where to put your fingers and the music will happen. An instrument such as a violin is a little bit more difficult because you need to put your fingers in the right place according to what you hear. However, We do have many, many recipients of Medel cochlear implants around the world who are able to play the wide range of instruments that there are. So we hope that that's the answer to some of the questions we often hear about music, but please remember that we are open to hear any of your questions anytime. Remember that we have those email addresses there for you. So if you have additional questions about music, please go ahead and contact us. Okay, now I'm going to hand back to Rebecca, and she's going to show us the resource that we have for a special treat for you today, which is based around a rhyme. Thanks, Rebecca.
So it's my pleasure to share with you this bonus resource. So we might just jump into it and sing or really chant this rhyme together. I like using this with families a lot because if families come and they're a bit reserved about singing, this is a really good choice because you can kind of chant it in a musical voice without feeling like you have to really launch into an operatic song. So let's have a go. We'll do this together. 5 little monkeys are jumping on the bed. One fell off and bumped her head. Mama called up the doctor, and the doctor said, all right, everyone, this is your last chance to type into the chat box. Tell me what you think the doctor said. We'll do our wait here, Donna, until somebody tells us what they think the doctor said. Oh, no more jumping, no more monkeys jumping on the bed. People do know this one, that you are right, of course. No more monkeys jumping on the bed. Now, I do have one last bonus question, everybody. Who can be the first to tell me what is the name of the strategy that I just used there to encourage you to use the words no more monkeys jumping on the bed? It's one of our 12. You got it. Let's have a look. Who was first? Oh, it's gone. I've lost it. Everyone's jumped in so quickly. I'm trying to see who was first there.
Oh, yeah. Look, there are lots of different strategies people have noticed. An expectant look also, and waiting.
Expectant look. Thank you for noticing all of those. The one I was really thinking about was auditory closure. So very fast response there from Emily. Thank you. So that brings me to the end of my part. And I just wanted to share that from my point of view, this has been a really positive experience to be able to connect with so many people in Malaysia, Singapore and Indonesia when we haven't been able to travel to like we normally do. And I just wanted to share one last message. Enjoy every word and conversation with your child, but at the same time, be thinking about your plan, your strategy for helping your child up to that next level in their language. So I'm going to hand back over to Donna for our final summary. So I'll say goodbye until next time and stay well.
Thanks very much, Rebecca. I really like your call for everybody to remember to enjoy everything that they've done, that they do with their child. And I see lots and lots of comments thanking you for your contributions. Now I'm just going to quickly cover off a couple of questions that we've had that people have asked quite a bit. One question we've had a few times by email and also popped up in the chat today was about whether these strategies that we have taught you, are they useful only for children with hearing loss? Or are they okay for other children in the household? Are they okay for children with other language disorders? And the answer to that is these strategies are good for everyone. all of these strategies are actually based on what we know parents do to help their children learn to talk. So please don't think these are just for children with hearing loss. They are great for every child. Another question that I got just before was about music. And the question was, do children with cochlear implants hear music differently? And the answer to that is yes, they do hear it a little differently. But remember that for your child, if they've received a cochlear implant, that's the hearing that they know. We also know that children with cochlear implants do enjoy music. They might hear it slightly differently, but they do hear it and they enjoy it. We also know that they learn a lot from it. So thanks for that great question. Another question that we've had a few times by email and a couple of times in the chat was around the child's different levels. How do I use this strategy for my child's level? As you can imagine, in these fairly brief webinars, we haven't had time to address every different level that the children will be at. Some of you will have children, and I see someone's just mentioned a 2-year-old child who's been implanted for 2 months. Are the strategies applicable for that child? Yes, they are. We haven't had time to describe to you how each strategy can work specifically for each level. However, please email us with those questions. If your child is 10 years of age and has a lot of language and you're wondering how to move them on, be in touch with us and we'll help you. If they're newly implanted and at the early stages of listening and talking, again, be in touch with us and we can help you. This person has asked us, the words or sentences that I use, should they be simple and short? That will depend on the level of your child. 2 things here. One is that your sentences or phrases should always make sense. So we don't want to hear things like, go dog, mummy cook. We want to hear nice full phrases. Oh, bye-bye dog, doggy's going, bye. Yeah, mummy's cooking. She's busy today, mummy's cooking. Wow, she's cooking the peas. So remember to do that so that you're getting nice short phrases if the child's new, but they should make sense. Don't use too many single words, as Rebecca's mentioned there in the chat. Single words don't have a lot of extra language around them and we want your child to advance quickly. So usually we talk to them in short phrases, sentences that make sense. So I'm sorry we don't have time to address any more of those questions, but please be in touch with us by email. Now I'm going to quickly pop up the screen to remind you of all the strategies that we've talked about. We've given you a lot of information in these 3 webinars. It's hard to know how much information to give you. Do we give you a lot of information? Is it too much? Whatever. We've talked about 12 and an extra one, 13 different strategies across our 3 weeks. We are aware that that's a lot. It's a lot to learn. It's a lot to think about. I hope you don't feel overwhelmed by having all of those strategies to think about. So 2 things to think of there. Please take Rebecca's advice when she said, do enjoy what you do with your children. Enjoy talking to them. The other thing I would say is if you are feeling a bit overwhelmed with all of that information, perhaps you can choose just one strategy for the week. Perhaps you can write down now for yourself, what are the strategies that you're going to focus on next week? So don't feel that you have to be overwhelmed and using all of these very fluently all of the time. That will take some practice. But perhaps you could just choose one and try it next week. Okay, so I'm going to pop back up onto the screen all of the email addresses for you once more. Now we've got an additional email address on here for you this week. Because we've had so many participants from Indonesia, we've added on a specific email address for you. So you can see here we have our address for Malaysia that you've seen before, and for Singapore, and an additional email address for Indonesia, rehab.sea@hearlife.co.id. So we've given you this email address for two reasons for Indonesia. The first reason is, as I said, we've had lots of participants from Indonesia, so we wanted to recognise that. But the second exciting reason is this. There's been so much interest that we've decided to run a series of parent webinars specifically for Indonesia that will be interpreted into Bahasa Indonesia. So this is being done in conjunction with some of our wonderful therapists who work alongside us in Indonesia. So for these webinars, Rebecca and I will be presenting, and we'll be joined by our colleague Eka Hikmat. Eka has a degree in psychology and a master's degree in special education, and our colleague Yana Hajar. Eka and Yana have both had extensive training in auditory verbal therapy, both from Rebecca and I and from other globally qualified therapists. So we're very, very lucky to have Eka and Yana join us. The webinars, the dates are over here. You can see 29th of May, 12th of June, 26th of June. These are on Friday afternoons. How do you register for this webinar? First of all, you can use the email address that I showed you before, or you can phone on these numbers here. So I'm going to give you a moment to jot that down if you need to. And I'm going to quickly pop back to the previous slide to show you again those email addresses, so that for those of you in Indonesia, you can join in. Now, I've just noticed, I'm sorry, that there is a small typo in that email address there.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, Donna.
Yeah, sorry, I apologize for that. That should read hearlife.com.id. I apologize for that. I'm going to go out of there and just quickly fix that for you and bring it back up.
No, Andy says it is correct. .co is correct.
Sorry. Oh, beg your pardon. Okay. Right, sorry, we've confused you all now. Okay. I do apologize for that. So here we are. This is correct. rehab.sea@hearlife.co.id. But also remember, if you forget that, or if we've confused you, we do have the phone numbers here. So there's the phone number as well.
It's not up on the screen, Donna.
Thank you. Here's our phone numbers here. And as always, Rebecca and I have access to all of those emails that we've showed you. So if we've confused you or you're not sure, please just email us and we'll give you what you need to be able to register for those webinars. Okay, so that brings us to the close. We've got a few people asking if there will be any more webinars. Can we access these again? Can we attend the webinar again from Indonesia? Yes, you're very welcome to. The content for the 3 webinars in Indonesia will be the same as what you have seen in the last 3. The difference is that it will be interpreted into Bahasa Indonesia. So you're very welcome to attend again if you'd like to. We'd love to see you again. Okay, so we look forward to hearing from you all by email. and hope that we will see you again, as Rebecca said, when all of this is over and we can come back and see you in person. We'd love that. But we've certainly very much enjoyed being part of these webinars. And thanks everyone for all your participation. Thanks and bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.